It's time for your daily dose of DragonFeather.
Hey, this is DragonFeather, and I'm here to teach you guys how to master magic. Just a little disclaimer here, I am in no way, shape, or form a master of magic. I have talked to humans and other people in this world who are shamans and practitioners of magic, and people who have had much more experience than I do in this field. And from my personal experience and collective research, this is, in my opinion, the best way to master magic. So take it for what you will, whether that be with everything you got or a grain of salt, so be it. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna start talking about it. So as you guys know, witchcraft is considered a practice. The reason why it's called a practice is because you have to practice it every day if you want to get good at it, which is the same thing with anything. If you want to get good at something, you need to practice it. Just like musicians, they have to practice, and sports, people who are into sports, they have practice. Anything, you need practice in order to get good at it. In order to get good at magic, you need to practice it, which means you need to cast spells in order to get good at casting spells. A lot of people are afraid of casting spells, even me included. I'm afraid of casting spells, and sometimes my fear, I let get the best of me, and so I don't end up casting the spell. While fear is there for a reason, sometimes you need to overcome your fear and to just start it and learn it and deal with the consequences if it's a path that you want to go down and want to start practicing. The best way, in my opinion, is to cast a spell. Pick a spell that you want to cast, any spell in the world. It could be a confidence spell, it could be a love spell, it could be a prosperity spell, it could be any spell. But the point is to pick a spell. Pick a spell that you want to cast. After you pick your spell that you want to cast, then look for spells online, write your own if you want, get one out of a book, get one off a YouTuber's channel, like find a spell, find an outline for somewhere to start if you're new. Take what you find and look over it. Do you need things for your spell? If you need things for your spell, go get the things. If you don't have the money for those kinds of things, then look up for spells, how to cast a spell without using any sort of tools. It's possible, it's plausible. If you can't find anything, then write something of your own. When you do this, then the next step is to cast your spell. Even though you might not be completely perfect your first time, you might not know what exactly to do, kind of things like that, that's okay. When I do rituals and spells, I usually always have something written down in front of me, hence a book of shadows. You have your spells and your rituals and your things like that written down and your experiences, and so you can use that as a backbone. If you don't want to memorize it, that's totally fine. That's totally okay. So do that if you need to. Oh wait, and I have a whole video on casting spells, the link will be down below. And follow all those steps. And if the spell didn't work, then write down why you think it didn't work and what you can do to make it better in the future. If it did work, then write down what you think you did that made it work, and then try a different spell and do those same things that made it work in the last spell and apply it to that. And if it worked, and then if that spell works too, then maybe you're onto something and you get it. The best way to do it is by trial and error, just like science. Trial and error. You need to try something to see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then change it until it does, until you figure out what makes this work and what doesn't make it work. It's an art, and it's very much a science. There is science behind it, and there is a specific way to do things that makes it work every time. But I don't know that, and I don't really know if anyone knows that, and that's why a lot of people say magic isn't real. But it is very real if you make it real. If you keep working on it and you keep focusing on it, I guarantee you your spells will work, because I've done this. It has worked for me, and it has worked for many other people. I practice my spells and I do them. You can even have a practice session before you do your spells, where you go step by step by step through, like a little rehearsal. You know, we do rehearsals for big things like weddings and performances and stuff like that. And if you need to have a spell rehearsal, you most certainly can. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what you're doing, and then do the actual thing and keep doing it so you can get better at it. Because I've been practicing witchcraft for about 4 years now, and it's been very rewarding. I'm certainly sure I could be better than I am right now if I practice much harder than I have. It's all about just doing it. And if you just keep researching, you could read all the books in the world, you could watch all the videos in the world, you could do all of this in the world, and if you just keep reading it and keep researching it and just not doing anything, you're never going to get anywhere. You'll be very knowledgeable, but you'll never grow. You need to practice it. And that's pretty much all I can tell you, is just to do it. I met the shaman, and the shaman, he told me some things about magic. And one of the things, and I forget exactly where this story like originates from, but I'm pretty sure it's the old tribes that used to be in Europe, where like the whole video on that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Basically, they would send someone who wanted to be a healer or a magic practitioner, and they would send someone out into the forest or out into nature for 9 days. And if the ancestors did not speak to them within those 9 days on how to heal somebody, how to use magic basically, then they weren't worthy. If the ancestors did talk to them, then they were accepted, and the ancestors taught them. The ancestors taught them of how, you know, how things worked. And I'm not telling you guys to go out into nature for 9 days, especially if you don't know how to take care of yourself in those conditions. Don't do that. Don't be stupid. But what I'm saying is that the point is still there. Going out into nature and listening and observing and doing all these sorts of things, taking notes at what you see and how you see it and how magic works in the everyday life, that's where you're gonna learn. If you sit in your house behind your computer and watch me all day, you'll learn a lot, but you're not going to learn as much as you could. Essentially, to get and master magic, as well as with anything in life, you need to practice it so you can get good at it. Because practice and repetition is mother of skill until it becomes automatic. And if you don't practice something, you're gonna lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. I hope this helped you guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below and let me know. Or contact me through one of my various forms of social media, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. But until next time, I love you so much. Blessed be, and bye. For all intents and purposes. And this particular kind of I lost my train of thought, guys. Fuck me. Wow, I seriously lost my train of thought. Holy shit balls. Let me think for a second. Hold up.